Okay, everybody, we're getting ready to go live in 1 minute. That's 1 minute to showtime. Hello everyone, it's Friday, November 25th, 2011, Black Friday. Yes, it's that crazy time where people go out wow, this is already going bad. Anyway, it's Black Friday, sales are going crazy, everybody's nuts, and now you're coming down, you're getting settled down, gonna hunker down in your gaming bunker, come on my little stream here and talk about some video games. Hello, my name is Matt Hayes, or CptDomano's as I'm known on gaming communities and some forums. And basically, I've been gaming now for about 20 years and seen the gaming industry grow from your simple text adventures like Zork and even things like Pong to grow to these multi-million-dollar productions that are just ridiculous. I mean, we had this holiday season already. We had Gears 3, Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, I mean, all these gigantic, big-name video games be released. And the industry's just, I mean, it's getting bigger every day. You're starting to see professional gaming start to expand. You got the MLG, you got DreamHack 2011 going on in Sweden right now. I mean, it's just a great time for the video game industry. But one thing that I have noticed recently, more often than not, what people are saying now, even with like the big releases of what we had this year, you know, Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, where people are complaining that we're seeing a lot of sequels and that there really isn't that much innovation happening in the video game industry. And that's why this site, well, not this site, but this show exists. And basically what my plan is to educate gamers in the gaming community about indie games, which are, you know, it's definitely another avenue to go into. You see a lot of interesting concepts that come out of indie games. It's a whole industry that's out there that doesn't really get as much attention as it should because of all these other blockbuster games that are coming out. And so basically what this show is going to be is covering indie games, the concepts that you see there, and just basically indie games and their concepts. So just to start out, though, to explain a little bit about what this show is and what it isn't, like I said, it's focused on the indie game scene, more so the discussion of the concepts that you see. Not every game that I'm going to show here is going to be a blockbuster, or not even a blockbuster, but it's not going to be an extremely awesome game that everybody's going to love. There are going to be some people that like certain things about the game and some people that just will write the game off completely. But it's more just discussing game concepts, some interesting things that are happening, just something that isn't the normal type of game. You got games like Amnesia that came out last year, and the game concepts there are amazing. That game is a perfect example of great game design and innovative thinking. I mean, the way you interact with the environment, if you want to open a door, you actually use the mouse to pull open the door, and then there's this whole suspense environment that's created with the way the game is designed, and that's really great. So that's kind of the stuff that I'll be talking about is more concepts, very high level type stuff, and mostly just kind of getting games out there that you people might not have not. Sorry, a little nervous on the first show here, but just giving you guys all an idea of games that you might not have heard of, or just starting to think about games in a different way. The one thing that you won't see me do on this site is actually review games. I don't I don't want to review games. I don't really feel like my purpose here will be to say that this game receives a 4 out of 5 or a 3 out of some arbitrary score. There's plenty of other sites out there that do that, and I don't think really that giving these types of games a score like that really does them justice, because I just don't feel like it adequately represents what that game is about. So in addition to all the other reasons why I brought up indie games, the main thing is that these games are really affordable. I mean, you're looking at about $10 to $20 for a game, as opposed to some of the blockbuster hits that are $60, and that you're still not completely guaranteed that you're going to have a great experience with it. That alone should be enough to start looking into indie games, just to see, for a cheap alternative. If you don't want to purchase a $60 game right now, there are plenty of other games out there that are just as fun. And one of the other reasons too why this site exists is because indie games are starting to become more popular. You got Steam that's doing digital distribution of indie games, and that's a lot of where I'm going to get my games from is from Steam, and we'll review them from there. But you got Steam, you got the humble indie bundles that are coming out. There's that, and then there's the Xbox Live indie community, where there's just a ton of games that get put out on there. So it's pretty obvious that the indie game is on the rise. I mean, the Independent Games Festival, which is happening in March, I believe, they've actually had an increase of 45% of the number of submissions to their main competition. So I think that makes it right around 570. So there's 570 indie games that are going to be submitted to the this main competition. So there's definitely a plethora of games out there that deserve to have just as much recognition and involvement of the community than the games that can afford the marketing for it. Whew. So with all that being said, let's go ahead, pop right into our first game. It's a game that's it's been around for about a month and a half, maybe more. I can't really recall off the top of my head. And the game's actually pretty interesting. It takes a concept that we all know. You're going to recognize it instantly once I start it. But the neat thing about this is it's just a simple design, and it's a fun design. And also the thing that I found most interesting was that this game was created in 4 months. And the game is called Binding of Isaac, from Ed McMillan of Team Meat and Florin Himzel. I'm sorry, he's a foreign name. Have a little trouble saying exactly what it is. So if I butchered it, I apologize. But he's of Comics Games. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's do my little cool transition. Bam. So this is Binding of Isaac. It's essentially when I first start this game. We'll just go ahead and get right into it. You can pick. There are different characters to pick from, and to unlock them, there are certain requirements. So, like on this, you have to collect 55 or more pennies in one playthrough. This is an unknown. Probably you got to collect everything in the game. You unlock Eve by making 2 deals with the devil. So there's a couple of different ways to play, but I usually have just played with Isaac. He's the basic character. He's the first character that you do end up getting. So he's the basic character. He's the first character. Let's go ahead and start the game. And of course, right off the bat, you're going to notice this style is taken directly from the Legend of Zelda series on the dungeon level. So you have your typical your one room with the four a couple exits. Up here you have your map, showing you where you're at and how the level's laid out. Coins, bombs, keys, your weapons, which is actually they're actually tiers. Coins, bombs, keys. And the thing to note here is that excuse me. Your weapons are always projectiles, and that's where you start to deviate from where Legend of Zelda is. So if you got like the super, if you had all of your hearts filled, then you got the ranged attack, but this is constant. If you get hit and you lose life, then you will always have this have your tears. If you get hit and you lose life, then you will always shoot as a projectile. And then something I don't know if you guys caught, but okay, so the actual tears themselves have physics. So if I shoot straight and then I start to move, you can actually kind of control where the shots are going. And so that's something that's, you can use that. You'll see on some of these levels where you can use that. Oops, sorry. I just figured out that I had the echo. I didn't put the mute on. That was my problem. Okay, now we're back. Sorry about that. 10 minutes of echo. But yeah, so that completely threw me off. So momentum, yeah. So you can use these to kind of get around corners. And that's that. You got your bombs, and then there are items to collect. So let's go ahead and just start playing through here, and I'll talk a little bit more. This is one of the things to note about Binding of Isaac is that it's considered what is called a roguelike, and a roguelike is when a game is based on. There was a game created in 1980 called Rogue, and it was essentially a dungeon crawling game where you pretty much just you went through a dungeon and oh wow. Yeah, so you went through a dungeon, and each dungeon level was randomized. It had random loot, random monsters. Everything was random about it. If you started a new game, your first level was different than what you had played previously. And the other thing about Rogue was that you only had one life. There wasn't a save option. There wasn't a continue from where you died or anything like that. It was you had to get through it all in one life, and that was it. And so, out of that, you get these games that are considered roguelike. And one of the other interesting things to note is that Rogue is something that actually influenced games like Diablo. So, like the randomized dungeons in Diablo, all the loot that you get and stuff like that, those are directly taken from the game Rogue. The only thing that Diablo doesn't have from Rogue is the fact that the one life and you're done, because you did have the ability to save and continue on from where you were at. So as you can see, you do end up picking up some items here. I got some pills, and the other thing to note is that sometimes when you pick up pills, you won't actually know what they do. Most of the items that you get, unless it specifically says at the bottom, you won't know what the effects are. Sometimes the effects are good, sometimes the effects are bad, and that's another aspect of what's called a roguelike. So that's always something to keep in mind. You don't necessarily, not every item that you find will be used for good, but you really won't know until you use it. There's these gold rooms here too that are treasure rooms, where you collect, and so now you have a specific item, the deck of cards, that'll also go into your collection, which I will show you after. I can show you after this is all said and done here. So yep, still kind of going through, and then it even has the store from Legend of Zelda, and again, even the stores are randomized. So if you come up on a store in a level, you will see something completely different. You won't see these particular things every time. And then, so once you go through the level, and the map basically tells you where everything's at, you end the level by going to these boss fights. And again, these boss fights are random. So the boss on level 1, on this playthrough might be something different than what is on a different playthrough. And as you can see, too, the art style is directly taken from Super Meat Boy, just with the way everything looks and things like that. So it's definitely a Meat Boy type game from the art style. And it is surprisingly... Whoops! Okay, and I accidentally hit the use item button, and apparently that transported me into this other area. Huh. Okay, well, I'll just pick this up. And again, in addition to the pills, you get these cards that have the tarot. I believe they're tarot cards. I haven't collected all of them, so I don't know if that's how they go. And again, even with those, you don't know exactly what's going to happen when you use them. So let's just go ahead and see what happens when I use them here. So this is the sun, and it instantly kills everybody. So there you go. So when that happens, you beat the level. You get a little collectible here, which also gives you some type of bonus, whether that's health or some help for your shots, or a different item altogether. And then you just go down, you've completed the level, and now you're moving on to the next thing. Something to note too is that this is kind of a short game, because there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 levels, and that's it. The problem is that the game gets progressively more and more difficult as you move on, and I still have yet to actually get through one playthrough. I always end up dying. I won't get through all of that on this one right now, because it does take quite a bit to get through. But yeah, something else that is interesting to note about this game is the Binding of Isaac is actually a story in the Bible. It is, let me do this really quick here. There we go, a little pop-up video here. Facts about the game. Oh god, I'm gonna die. So in Genesis, in the book of Genesis, chapter 22, it's actually Abraham is asked to sacrifice his son Isaac for God to prove his devotion, and that is exactly what this story is, except for the fact that this one's a little more twisted. Obviously, there wasn't any dungeons with floating heads and flies trying to kill anybody, but yeah, this is definitely based on that same story in the Bible. So there's your fun fact for the day. And again, whoops, and there we go, I died. So, okay. Switch. So yeah, so then you die and it says, I was killed by something, and this was the little bee. So let's go back to the main menu. And like I said, there's a bunch of loot to collect, and every time you do collect something, it does go into your collection. Now the thing to remember is that there are a bunch of things to collect. And like I said, every time you play the game, what you find in the dungeons are completely random. You might find the same thing every time. You might find the rotten meat and the roid rage and the virus all on the same playthrough, but it's just the fact that this is the amount of things that you can find in the game. Excuse me. Grab some water really quick. Okay, and then so there is definitely a lot of replay value in this game, just for if you want to collect everything. But really, the main focus of the game, I think, is just its simple controls. It's obvious art style. It gives you that Legend of Zelda feel, but at the same time, it's a different type of game. It's really easy to get into. There's not a lot to it, and just it's all around a pretty good game. And it does get ultra frustrating when you when you start getting towards the end and you start seeing your life go down. And whoops, you start seeing your life go down, and then you're freaking out. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna, if I kill this guy, maybe I'll get a heart, or maybe I'll get this, or anything like that. And then maybe you'll have some pills left, but you won't exactly know how what they'll do. So you'll hit it, and then it'll just drop a bunch of bombs directly on you, and now you're dead. Now game over. So now you got to start from the beginning again. And that's kind of the draw of the game. It's like I said, a very simple game. You can get it on Steam right now for I know it's normally $10. I don't know if there's a Steam sale going on for it right now, but that is definitely it's definitely worth checking out. It's definitely something that's fun, and it's by the same guys that did Super Meat Boy, so you'll be helping those guys out. And I think that they have something going on in the works. I haven't really heard of anything specific, but I do know that they're constantly working. I know. Oh my god, I can't think of the guy's name. Ed McMillan. Wow, I already said his name once and I completely forgot. Ed McMillan actually worked on a couple of other games already. He did Gish. Super Meat Boy was obviously one, and then another one called Ether, which is I think you can find it probably on his website. I don't know exactly where you can find it. I don't think they have it on Steam just yet. All right, so here we are. We're pulling up on 20 minutes, and excuse me. I was hoping to extend it out a little bit. I want these shows to kind of be 30 minutes long. I was obviously a little nervous going into this. I don't know if you could tell, but yeah, essentially this is kind of what I'm going for. It's not without so many ums and without so many stumbles, and being able to do my transitions really well, and having a couple more jokes all set. Other than that, though, everything went fine. Having these shows pretty much once a week, taking a look at maybe one game, maybe two games at a time, and just kind of giving a review of it. Well, not a review, an overview of it, and a little discussion, and just showing you guys what's out there. So, like I said, if you guys think this game looks interesting, go ahead, hop on Steam. And like I said, it's on. I don't know if it's on sale yet or not, but I do know that it's only $10 if it's full price. So it's definitely something that if you're on a budget and you need a new game to play, this will be it. So that will pretty much do it for the first episode. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. I know this wasn't exactly the best best show I've done, but it was the first, and I feel a little bit better now. So the second one's going to be even better. Next week, I will probably either look at Sequence, or there's a couple other things that I've looked at, Sideway, and Cave Story Plus. Those are a couple games that I picked up recently that I'm checking out, and will most likely talk about next week. So, again, thank you all for watching. Hope to see you back next week, and we'll see you later. All right, bye. Ugh.